This is a tutorial on how to use the two sources for your critical analysis essay. We will show how to list them on the references page and a little bit about how to cite them. So for the critical analysis essay, you are going to view a TED Talk by J. Marshall Shepard, and you are going to read an article by Dr. Pragya Agarwal. To list these sources on the references page, we will first start with a blank document. You'll center your cursor and using bold font, type the word references at the top of the page. This can be in the default Calibri 11, or you can change that to Times New Roman 12. There are other fonts that are also acceptable for APA. Check the APA guide or manual for that information. Once we've typed the name references, we will set our spacing to double space, hit enter once, and then bring the cursor over to left alignment. Remove the bold font, and now you're ready to set the hanging indent. To do that in Word, you go to Paragraph, under Indentation, under Special, look for Hanging, and click OK. If you are using Word 365 or Google Docs, you will be able to set the hanging indent, but the links and tabs that you will use are located in different spots. So you may need to ask the Writing Center or ask me for that information. Okay, now we're ready to list our source. So let's go, we'll go first to the article. So here we find that this is from Forbes, which is a magazine. Even though this is online, you can look into it and you'll find that Forbes is a magazine. You can see the title here. We have the main title, we have the subtitle, we have the author, and you would not include the title when you list the author on the references page. So first name is Pragya, last name is Agarwal. You also have here the date of the article, and then of course in the URL address you would have the full link. So on your references page, you're going to start with the author's last name, comma, and then just the first initial, period and space, and then you'll put the date. We see the date is December 3, 2018, so we start with the year, comma, and then the month, day, parentheses, period, and space. For the title, this is an article within a magazine, so you would use no italics and no quotation marks on the references page. We will use sentence case, which means that you only capitalize the first letter of the first word in the title. You would also capitalize the first letter in the first word of the subtitle. Otherwise, nothing is capitalized unless you were to have a proper noun. So we have unconscious bias, colon, space, capitalize the how. Let's just double check how it affects us more than we know. Period, space. Now we're ready to put the name of the magazine or journal or newspaper, depending on the source. This is Forbes. That would be in italics. And if you had a volume or issue number, you would include that, but we do not have that in the online version. So after you type Forbes, you're just going to put a period and a space and take off the italics. And then you're going to end with the URL. So I'm just going to copy this, go back to my article, and paste it. It looks like it kept the italics, so I'm going to highlight that link and make sure I remove the italics. And then I'm going to hit enter, and then you'll see the hyperlink is there. Okay, so that will take care of the article. For the TED Talk, first you need to decide if this is from the TED site or if this is from YouTube. So I can look up here at the URL and see that this is from TED. So the source is TED. Here we have the author, J. Marshall Shepard. We have the title. And let's see, we should have the date here somewhere. Try looking at the transcript. Oh, over here. So over here we see it was March 2018, and it was specifically from TEDx UGA. Okay, so we're going to start again with, so if it's from the TED source, then you will begin with the author's name, just as we did with the article. So the last name was Shepard, comma, space, and J, and we'll put in both initials, and then the date, which was March 2018, parentheses, period, space. This is not a article in a magazine. It is a one-time video. So when you have a source that is a standalone source, if you will, you use italics for the title. You still use sentence case. Since 3 is a number, nothing in here would be would be capitalized, but you will put everything in italics. So we'll change our font to italics, and then 3 kinds of bias that shape your worldview, period, space, which is 3 kinds of bias that shape your worldview. Okay, now the source here, be specific, so it's the TEDx UGA. So we're going to take it off italics and TEDx UGA, period, space. And then finally, we will use the URL to locate this video. And we'll paste that there, and I'll hit enter. I did forget one item. At the end of the title, before the period, you should indicate if this is something other than a printed article. And since this is a video, we want to indicate that. So we'll use the square brackets and put video, and then a square bracket, and then the period. Okay. Now, as it turns out, we have these arranged alphabetically, but you do want to check when you're listing sources on a references page to make sure that they are in alphabetical order by the first word. So obviously A comes before S. If they're not, you'll need to rearrange them. You can cut and paste them, tweak them a little bit to get them in the right order. All right, that is all you need to do for your references page. Whoops, undo that mistake. However, I do want to talk to you about how to cite these sources. For the Agarwal article, if you are paraphrasing, you just need her last name, comma, and the year. If you are quoting something, then you need her last name, comma, the year, comma, and you'll need to put the paragraph number. So you'll use the abbreviation PARA period, space, and then where I have the number sign, you would put the actual number of the paragraph, 3, 6, 10, whatever it is. For the TED Talk, if you are paraphrasing something from the video, you would again just use the author's last name, comma, and the year. If you are quoting something directly from the TED Talk, then you will need the author, the year, and because this is a video, you will need the timestamp. So in the video, you can go to transcript, and here you can get the printed version of the video with the time where that occurred. So if you quoted something from here, this is at 00:40, so it's 40 seconds in. In your citation, you would put 00:40. So that is basically the equivalent to a paragraph number for a printed item. Okay, so that should show you clearly how to list your two sources on the references page as well as how to cite them. Again, the citations are within your paper, not on the references page. And if you do need any extra information as you look at author credibility for these two authors, and you find that in some other source, remember you would need to list that also on the references page. However, if you get enough information just from the two sources to write your essay, then these would be the only two sources that you would list. Good luck with this essay.